Welcome to ResponseABLE Parenting, the podcast that shows you how to parent in alignment to your emotions, needs, and goals versus your programming, bad advice, and let's face it, outdated strategies that just don't work. You'll get in the trenches support on nervous system and emotional regulation, critical mindset shifts, stronger communication strategies, and more. In this podcast, you'll gain transformational tools that take you from reacting to every frustration to responding with clarity, regulation, and finally setting the example you desire for your kids. I'm Becky Jennings, your new parenting coach, and this is the ResponseABLE Parenting podcast. Let's get into it. Okay, this is the 500th time I've hit restart recording on this. I'm sharing a work from home space with my husband, who is one of the loudest talkers on the phone. Oh my gosh. So I've had like outbursts of like phone laughter that I'm like, had to pause, start again. The dogs, out of nowhere, I think it's because I started laughing. They were like, oh, this is playtime. So they started wrestling. Okay, we're restarting once again. I feel like I say this on almost every podcast episode is that I had to restart the recording. Today is a new episode in a fun kind of way. If you're here's the deal. Honestly, if you're a parent who has a strong-willed kid who struggles with impulsivity, and you are so sick and tired of your kid being the, seemingly common denominator in all the accidents, in the upset feelings, in the hurt moments, in the lost items, in the broken items, in the scratched, it's just endless, right? If that seems to be your child, and your child is also like pushing the boundaries a little bit in language, has recently learned maybe some swear words and is kind of testing those out, this is the episode for you. If your kid is like not tapping into the new swear words and isn't kind of exploring that space, and if your kid doesn't struggle with impulsivity, if your kid seems to be the child who can make a smart decision in the heat of the moment, this episode is not for you. This episode is specifically geared to the parent who just has that exasperated exhale when another kid at another play date comes over and is like, this just happened. And you're like, oh, great. Again? Question mark. Like, what? How is this possible? So here's where this originated. We were having some snafus with Halloween costumes. Everything that we wanted was not available. So I ended up having to make a portion of the costume. And my kids were all into the 6'7" baseball, ice cream cone lifestyle stuff. So I ended up finding an image that I could print out onto a transfer paper. And then I realized we were out of color ink. Anyways, it was this joint costume with a friend. The friend's mom had a color printer. Thank God. So we went over to the friend's house to print out the transfers. And within about 8 minutes, God bless my sweet, sweet son's soul, he had already hurt the little sister on accident and somehow lost her brand new ball over the edge of the fence. It was within like 6 minutes. And honestly, I'm pretty fed up with my son being like the common denominator of ouchies. And the response that I get from him is like, I don't know how that happened, or I don't know why that happened. And it can get very infuriating. Okay. So as we were leaving, I said, buddy, there needs to be a checklist that you can kind of run through your head before you make a choice, because we continue to get stuck in these moments where you don't know. You're just like dumbfounded when something happens where, somebody gets hurt or something gets lost. And it never is so and so else besides you did this. It always comes back to you. And that can't be fun to always hear like, Hunter did this to me, or Hunter broke my thing, or Hunter just hit me. And you stand there and you're like, I didn't mean to. I don't know how that happened. And yet it still is falling on you. So I was like, it all comes down to impulsivity. And I know ADHD has a lot to do with that, because ADHD is all impulse reaction, right? Right now, that's where yours presents the most. So I want to help you and come up with a way that we can kind of check our impulsivity at the door, but also we can kind of start the train a rolling in the success path versus the being the kid who's always hurting people. And he's in agreement, right? He hates it. He hates the fact that he does something that he thinks would be fun. He thinks everybody's on board, but somebody gets hurt, and it was never his intention to hurt. It was never his intention to do something negative or break something, but it happens, and he's just kind of sitting there with like a question mark circling his head going, I actually don't know how that happened. So, my head went immediately to, shouldn't there be like a checklist that you run through in your head? And then my head was like, I'm sorry, my son will never go through a checklist because he has ADHD. That's just not going to be what happens, right? He is straight impulsivity. So how can I kind of scaffold this moment for him and also make it something that he wants to do, that it's spicy enough and it's enticing enough, right? So this is where the rubber meets the road, and you kind of got to lean into some of the things you don't want to lean into, like swear words, because it's exciting enough and dopamine driven enough for them to access the skill. So we know with an ADHD brain, they're constantly seeking that dopamine. They're constantly seeking that risk. They're constantly seeking that activation energy because they don't have access to that. So they're reaching for it on a regular basis, which oftentimes leads to behaviors that we don't want to see. So I'm leaning in, and I created for him his shit list, SHIT, that he runs through this shit list in his brain so that he can make better choices in the moment. Does it lean into a negative swear word? Yes. Is that enough activation energy that gets him to remember it? So far, he's into it. He's on board. He's not saying shit out loud. He's saying it in his head and like, "Ooh, I have to run through my shit list," right? Saying shit for him is exciting activation energy. Now, I could suppress that and say, you're not allowed to say that. You can only say that in in the bathroom. There's certain times and places that you can say it. You're not allowed to say it in public. And that for him makes him want to do it more, right? As opposed to understanding that, oh, you're into this word. This word is exciting for you. This word feels like it has an emotional charge for you. How can I lean into it and make it benefit me and our situation? Can I be super real with you and tell you a personal story? A few years back, my son, the whole reason why I do the job I do today, was having one of those fiery moments. He was talking back, demanding it be his way. He was refusing to listen to any of our solutions, and the moment was getting really intense. My husband looked at me and said, well, you know all the parenting stuff, fix this. I completely froze. All the scripts from the books I'd read, all the strategies from the podcasts I'd listened to completely disappeared from my brain in that moment. But based on the volume of challenges that we were having with our strong-willed ADHD son, I knew I had to figure out a different way, because panicking in the moment and grasping at anything only to not follow through at all and end up yelling just wasn't working. From this experience, I developed a repeatable, easy to remember, and easy to follow system that literally works with every single triggering moment. I can attest to it because there are many in my life. Now I can show up the way I want. I can communicate in a way that actually resonates with my strong-willed child. If this sounds like a solution for what's happening in your home, take these next 2 steps. Number 1, watch the free training about my rewiring process in the show notes. And then number 2, book your free call. On that call, we will talk about what's happening in your home, and you will get a customized solution that works best for you. I assure you, this doesn't have to feel as hard day in and day out as it does. There is the solution, and I'm so excited to talk to you about it. I'm using the activation energy to my benefit. I'm using that dopamine seeking, that risk seeking energy that is already intrinsically in him, and I'm using it to my benefit. So here's the shit list. The S stands for, is there enough space to do what I'm about to do? Honestly, if we just tackle the space issue and he has some spatial awareness of his body in relation to other people's bodies, that's already a bigger win for the team, right? We're already setting him up for success in a way that allows him to kind of scan the area, see if it's going to be a zone that he can perform what he's about to perform. And that is already setting him up for success. The H stands for, is anybody going to get hurt if I do what I'm about to do? Again, if we're able to tackle space and bodies, this is already just a win. So he's already kind of clocking it, going, okay, I get it. I get it. Is there space to do what I'm about to do? Could somebody get hurt? Could I get hurt? Okay. SH. The I stands for, could an item be lost or could an item be broken with what I'm about to do? So we're tackling some major things, right? We're tackling a lot of the challenges that already arise. How did you not know that the person was right behind you when you were swinging a bat? I don't know, right? How did you not think that swinging a bat around somebody's face might hit them in the face? Oh, why did you not think that throwing the baseball over the fence might actually lose the ball for the little sister? I don't know. Right? We're avoiding all of those by going through this shit list and starting to clock the environment, right? We're trying so hard to teach these impulsive kids situational awareness and appropriate behaviors in certain areas. This is helping them do that internal scan. And listen, they're not going to nail it 100% of the time. But if we can get one of these things in motion, we're already off to a better bet. So the T stands for, is there time to do what I'm about to do, right? We were in a crunch time. We had about 5 minutes to print this thing out and get back to the baseball field. And he's trying to like invent a whole new game, right? Not the time. So S, is there space to do what I'm about to do? H, would I hurt anybody or anything, right? A dog, anything, right? If some physical body is going to get hurt, it's already going to be a no. Could an item be broken or lost with this choice? And T, is there time to actually accomplish this from start to finish? Or does this need to be started at a different time? Right? When we can go through, and by the way, let's go through that shit list for ourselves too in some of these moments. Do I have space to feel the overwhelming feeling that I have right now? Do I need to remove myself from this room and kind of like shake it out, right? Could somebody's body or emotions be hurt by what's about to fly out of my mouth, right? If we're really frustrated and we have that activation energy and we want to hit something or somebody, would an item be broken by doing what I'm about to do, right? Is this really the right move for me? And T, is there time to have this like lecture, this meltdown, this explosion that I'm about to have, right? The shit list helps for us too in terms of checking our emotional reactivity to a certain moment. So the shit list is my son's new running internal checklist before he makes a choice. We're making progress, right? This isn't the 100% solve that's going to fix all of his negative interactions and the accidental mistakes, right? But micro improvements is what I am looking for. Movement in the right direction is what I am looking for. The fact that he's slowing down even just a little bit to kind of like go over this list. And again, I'm using the word shit to bring in that activation energy to switch his focus because he's not allowed to say it. And so, ooh, this feels exciting, right? This feels charged. So I'm using that to continue to pull him in that direction. Okay. So I'm not saying you have free reign to say the word. What I'm using is that risk seeking, that percolating energy of like, ooh, I want to do something bad, but I'm not supposed to do something bad, and giving that to a specific framework that is good. It's helping him see that there's another option. So, long way around saying, I know full stop that he is not going to run through this list every single time that he is about to do something impulsive. I'm looking for movement in the right direction, right? I'm looking to see those micro wins of maybe even a 5-second pause, a 2-second pause of going, do I have space for this? And if I can get that, and then we move to the H and move to the I and move to the T, and he starts to practice this throughout his elementary school years. He starts to practice this as he moves into middle school, where he has, like, he knows he's just going to run through his shit list real fast. And if any of them are a no, that's not the right decision. This is a way for them to start to recognize all of the situational cues, all of the cues from their friends. This is such an opportunity for our kids to have that internal compass and not feel any sort of shame around it, just knowing, oh, this is what I have to run through before I make a choice. If we can all do that, my goodness, that pause would help so much. Just going through that, it's probably a 90-second answer situation. And then the emotion, the charge, the activation, it's decreased a little bit, right? We can get back into our thinking brain. We can get back into making a smart choice. Okay. I hope that resonates. I hope that was fun and helpful. If you have any other questions, if you are struggling with an impulsive kid who, you're dealing with a lot of emotional energy, you're dealing with a lot of struggle and challenge and resistance and power struggles. If this is your child, go ahead and in the show notes, watch the REWIRE Your Reactions. That's a free training in the show notes. It's hugely helpful to understand the science of why we are feeling the way we feel in our brains as parents. And then book yourself a free call with me so that we can connect. I can see if what I do as a coach would support you in shifting the way that your family operates, the way you react and respond to your kids. If that's a priority for you, to really dial this in and eliminate a lot of the problems just based off how you're talking and handling the moments, book that free call. Let's connect and let's get some of these systems into your house so you can start to feel a little bit better and freer in the moment. All right. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the ResponseABLE Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Mackie Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method, Branding and Podcasting.